Questions, so you the microphone on your. The key questions, I think they're all on actually. The key questions here are managing medical information. You've all taken different approaches to it. So let's start then, because I guess, West, I would argue that you've taken probably the most, as it were, machine-like approach to doing this. Can you talk just for a minute about the ontology, what's underlying Healthline, kind of what it took to create and what it's trying to do?
Well, we have a semantic taxonomy that we've been working on for almost 10 years. We have medical informatics specialists. We've got a fairly large group of engineers and doctors, nurses, pharmacologists that have taken many of the ontologies that are out there, MESH, SNOMED, ICD-9, and so forth, and have created the intersemantic relationships that allow our advanced search and navigation technologies to move across, map any kind of content with the most contextual, relevant relationships, and that allows us to surface the information quickly and easily and make sure it's clinically accurate and it's contextually relevant.
Great. And so, Frankie, the sort of concept of doing that, you've taken a somewhat different approach, more around news and currency, and I guess talk to me a bit about this issue of currency and being up to date and how important that was to you.
Yeah, actually, I mean, this is perhaps the key thing about Medware that's different from other search engines, is you can get the very latest information, and all those feeds are checked every single day and indexed and available on the same day. So any search you run in Medware, you can return those results by date order, and in terms of health and medical information, that's absolutely essential. If I've got a serious illness, I don't want to know information that was out there 5 years ago. I want to know the very latest information. And I want to know all of it, and that's what Medware strives to do.
And so in that case, there's sort of an issue. You're dealing now with just very rare diseases. The information is probably coming at a slower rate, maybe, than in some of the large diseases, maybe not, maybe in some cases it is. How do you think about organizing the search engine to go and look for this information? What types of tools are you using? What types of approaches are you taking?
You mean to survey the literature?
Yes.
To find out what new facts are. That's a very classical way used by any scientist that we search by all the 6,000 names of diseases that we have in the database. But to give you an idea, there are about 6 new diseases described every week in the literature. And we have to modify the content about 200 of them, just based on new genes discovered or new treatment coming up and so on. So it's a nightmare. So it's a nightmare.
So you solved the nightmare by
how? But the database is maintained by hundreds and hundreds of experts around the world. But still you have to organize the review process, you have to contact them and so on. So, I mean, you need huge resources to do that. So it has to be, let's say, an international enterprise. You cannot do that at the country level.
So you're talking a little bit about, so we're starting to bring in the sort of the human aspect with the selection aspect, with the machine aspect. Wes, just last one for you. Why? I mean, there are other players, and then we'll talk about organized wisdom and others in a minute who take a different approach. And Healthline, of course, has got human beings not only working on the technology, but also blogging and creating content. And you work with partners like Adam and many others to create content. Give us a sense of where you think the evolution of your service may go in terms of using more human factors like tagging and commenting and that kind of stuff.
Well, I think clearly using the ontology allows us to be able to crawl, rank, and index any content. And that could be blogs. It is for AOL. We'll be doing it. We just recently announced that we're going to be managing and building and hosting Yahoo Health, the 3rd largest site on the internet for healthcare. And these have very rich Health 2.0 communities that we actually will crawl, rank, and index and use our ranking algorithms to be able to help serve that information at the appropriate time. So it's critical. All health information, whether it's patient-generated, doctor-generated, or through other sources, still has to go through the same process and should. And using people to do quality assurance, QA, on certain aspects of the platform certainly is part of everybody's, I'm sure, business model.
Great. Okay, we're going to skip now, and again, you'll find that we make a lot of artificial divides in Health 2.0. We're going to skip now, and I'm quickly going to go over and do the demo that unfortunately Steve Cryan is unable to do. So I'm not going to try to do it. I'm not trying to do it. I probably won't give it full justice. But let me just start off with what Organised Wisdom tries to do, to just give you an idea. So Organised Wisdom has a health centre, so we start with this one. Happens to be their one on diabetes. And the way they do this is they create these things called wisdom cards. And wisdom cards are created essentially by individuals who are looking at different types of aspects of information all across the web. So if you look at this is the wisdom card on diabetes. It does have a new edition. It has drugs, it has medication. It also goes and looks at particular blogs. And these ones are sort of curated. So here there are diabetes wisdoms and blogs, and you'll find that here are particular diabetes blogs which somebody at Organised Wisdom, usually a physician or a medical professional, has gone and checked into and said, yes, this one's a good one, this one's not a good one. So for instance, their top blog here is Diabetes Mine, which many of us in the US are familiar with. Amy Tendridge, someone we've worked with many years, has created her own blog, and there's the Diabetes Mine blog you can get to. So they've basically done a selection process. A couple of other things that have gone on. Here's some other information on diabetes type 1, again selected, pre-done. And then one last thing I'll just show you is actually fairly new. This is kind of very early for Organised Wisdom. Here they're actually selecting people who are tweeting and active on the internet and saying who's a good person to follow. In this case, I don't know this gentleman, but Dr. Frederick Vagnini has tweeted, and he's tweeting, his Twitter name is @BeatingDiabetes. He's in New York City. You can go, he has 5,000 followers on Twitter. And here are some of the links that he's shared. So in other words, you see, this is an approach to take the power of the internet, but also, and search, but also to put very much a curated human face on that. And with that, I'm going to introduce